Thanks, Mombi. Welcome, welcome, welcome all. So we can take like 3 minutes. What we can do during these 3 minutes, just copy and paste this link to your friends. Let them know that we have started this event and that it's going to be very informative and impactful. And I would really wish if many of us could join this session so that we learn and grow together. That's the beauty of these events. So just take a few minutes, share this link with your friends, share the link, and then we'll start at exactly 8:03 East African time. So in 1 minute, we are going to start. I'm also doing the same. I'm sharing the events, this particular event with my friends so that they can join and we benefit together. Okay, it is exactly 3 minutes past and we are going to start now. So good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending from where you're listening to us from. Welcome to our LinkedIn audio event. I am very excited and really looking forward to this session. So we are going to be talking about building global talent network and, to be specific, opportunities and collaborations. So if you are joining this session for the first time, my name is Grace Akoth, Kenyan, and I empower individuals and job seekers to articulate their skills, accomplishments, and unique value proposition. And I do that by actively collaborating with them to create tailored resumes that captures their professional essence, and by leveraging my expertise, I enhance the candidates' chances of landing interviews and fulfilling their career ambitions. But today is not about me, and we have a very exciting session planned for all of us today, and I believe we are going to learn a lot because it is packed with invaluable insights. And our guest speaker is none other than Manoj, and I'm really excited for this session. Manoj, welcome. So just a brief bio about Manoj before he also introduces himself. So Manoj has been building tech startups and related ventures since 2004. And he has also built the Manchester tech startup ecosystem from 2006 to 2013. And how he has achieved that is by bringing investors and tech founders together through tech events. And today, or currently, Manoj runs 3 companies. One, Tech Techcelerate, 2, Delight, and 3, Skilled Up Life. Manoj, welcome so much. I'm really excited to have you here. How are you and how are you feeling? Are you excited?
Yes, thank you very much for having me here, Grace.
Sam, how are you? How are you feeling? You can just let us know how you're feeling today.
As a founder, I have to always be optimistic.
Yeah. Actually, I think that applies to everyone. We all need to be optimistic in life, regardless of the situation that we are going through. So, just to start us off, Manoj, can you tell us a bit about yourself and your background?
Okay, thank you very much. So I'm 56 years old. I started my first tech company when I turned 36, so I'm quite a late bloomer in that respect. Um, so prior to starting my first tech company, which was sort of accidental, I was a control systems engineer. So I work on multinational projects for two large global companies. And for the last 20 years, I have been building, failing, and exiting tech companies and also organizations that help tech founders. So pretty much my life is dedicated to helping tech companies or tech founders realize their dreams. So it's
Awesome.
very simple.
And is there a specific reason as to why you decided for it to be like tech organizations? Is there a specific reason or it's just an interest?
Um, I mean, that's what I've been doing for 20 years, so there's no reason why I should change it, given that
Mm-hmm.
technology touches everybody. Doesn't matter where you are. You are using technology when you communicate with someone using mobile phone to on social media or anything, involves technology. So you cannot get rid of technology. And everybody knows about ChatGPT and all the AI boom. So it's here, it's continuing, it's growing. However, that the mistake I made 20 years ago, people are still making the same mistake. So there's plenty of things to do to help people build tech companies. So if I can help, that should be good enough for me for this lifetime.
Ah, awesome, awesome. I love that. And before we even dive deeper into this discussion, maybe you can just explain to us what is Global Talent Network? Because some of us are here and we have probably never heard the term tal- uh, global talent network. So how can you describe it or define it?
Okay, so it's I didn't come up with the words. I think you came up with the words, but thank you very much. But I can explain it. So I think um, we are still citizens of a country or two, right? Every human. We
Mm-hmm.
still have geographical boundaries, but those boundaries doesn't really exist in the online world. You can talk to anyone, you can find anyone fairly easy as long as they have a presence online. And thanks to COVID-19 pandemic, we became closer. The technologies are very advanced, so you don't need to be in the same country to take on a task. So, with that in mind, what we develop is, as you just said, Global Talent Network. We now have 48,000 skilled volunteers on Skilled Up Life, and they come from 136 countries. So, if you look at the world, there are over 200 countries, so we're not quite there yet. But if you build something that resonates with people from anywhere in the world, they will come, they will start using it. Oh, it seems we lost the host, so I'll continue to chat until Grace come back. So, in terms of the global talent network, is if we look at, it's not just us from that perspective. The freelancer platform has been around for a long time. You know about Upwork, you know about Fiverr. I think when Fiverr came to the market, everybody thought, that's a very disruptive idea. For $5, you can get things done, whereas in the past, it cost a lot of money. So I'll give you a good example. So I think when I first set up my tech company in 2004 to get a logo designed, I can't remember how much it cost. It cost, I think, I don't know, £400 or something ridiculous amount. Then I remember that the price kept coming down. So, for example, when I designed the Texarate logo, that was quite interesting. That was done by a whole bunch of people online. Then I paid a professional company to sort of put the final touches. It cost me £50. Um, and then if you look at it, there are now products where you could simply go and tell it to design it. Or when Fiverr came to market, the idea was that you could get it done for $5. That was their starting point, and they attracted so many people from around the world that made it, on one hand, it created a challenge for people in the West who were charging a lot more to do the same task, but equally someone from, let's say, less economically advanced country where they couldn't actually find work can now actually start to earn money, and that $5 meant quite a bit for them. So globally, if you look at, there are lots of talent networks, and what we are doing is we are creating our own to help. As we're trying to solve one particular problem, so we're not solving all the problems. Anyway, Grace is back, so I'll let take over.
Yeah, I'm so sorry about that. I think I dropped off for some few minutes, but thank you for that. I just heard you talking about Fiverr and Upwork, and now I am curious. So, what are the key benefits for both job seekers and employers to participate in global talent networks? Are there specific benefits for both parties?
Yeah, Grace, shall I first introduce Skilled Up Life?
Yes,
Yeah,
sure.
okay. So, Skilled Up Life is solve two big problems. One is that, so I'll start with where the first problem came up with. So as I said, I've been building tech companies, failing and exiting for 20 years. And so most companies you hear about, you hear because they have raised a lot of money, investment. Some companies raise hundreds of millions. But equally, less than 1% of tech companies actually secure investment. So that 99% struggle, and most of them do not survive beyond a couple of years. It's not because the founders have bad ideas. It's just that some opportunities are not investable. So when I build my companies, I'm using a form simply called bootstrapping, which means I would put some money in, whatever my savings, and also I would try to generate revenue, and then the company runs from those revenues plus whatever I put into the company. Whereas the other model is that you go to investors, convince them, and get a lot of money. But when you take on external investors' money, you had to run very fast, and most likely you will fail. So these are the two different models, and there are a lot of other hybrids between. So most people don't get investment, and because they don't have investment and they have limited savings, when they run out of savings, they really struggle. So you need to build a tech company. The reason it's very expensive is that salaries, you have to pay developers especially, they are very, very expensive. So what we've done, so I lived with this problem of not having enough people to help me realize whatever I want to build. So the idea was that what if you can have free talent pool that could help you to get up and go, and as you become bigger and you generate revenues, you will create jobs. However, I didn't know that was there was a solution to that problem, and it came only because of COVID. During COVID in the UK, and I don't know about your country, we had what's called furlough scheme, where government asked everyone to stay at home. They were told not to work for the employer. The government promised to pay them a certain amount of money every month. They had to stay at home. So people were getting very frustrated, and I thought it would be a good idea to connect these furloughed individuals with tech startups. So we created what's called Furlough Lives, and that initial experiment helped me to come up with the idea of Skilled Up Life. So Skilled Up Life is two-sided marketplace. So when I say two-sided marketplace, if you're not familiar, Fiverr, Upwork, they are two-sided marketplace places.
I think we have lost you, Manoj. I can't hear you.
Right. Okay. Audio setting.
Manoj, we have lost you. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
If you can hear me, kindly send me a love heart
Can
emoji.
you hear me now?
If you can hear me.
1 minute. Let me try to get back default.
Yes, now we can hear you.
You can hear me. It's because the LinkedIn has a fault which kicks out people from time to time. Maybe it's saying that I'm speaking too much. So just to finalize that. So Skill Up Life, on one side we help tech founders find the talent they want. On the other side, we help anyone over 18 years old to gain the experience and skills they need to be able to go to the job market, and say, listen, I got this experience, give me a job. So right now, if you look at, there isn't a place in the world where you can simply go and get experience and skills. There are places where you can go and earn. Upwork, Fiverr, and others are some of those places. But to simply gain experience, there isn't a place, and that's what we are creating. And this is appealing to everyone because we cater for all ages, not just young. And that means you could be doing a 9 to 5 job, but you might be thinking of a career transitioning into somewhere else, but you have no way of testing out the market. You could come to us, gain the experience. So there's a lot of different ways people use us.
Oh, wow. I love that. And I love the fact that even people who are still working on full-time employment, they can as well join your tech company. I'm just curious, Manoj. So if someone is here and wants to be part of Skilled Up Life, how should they go about that?
So it's fairly simple. You go to the website skilledup.life. You register as a volunteer. Once you signed up, you need to spend some time creating your profile. It is a bit painful because there's no AI or anything like that. You can't upload a CV, so you have to go and create the profile. Once you created the profile, you can apply for what we call opportunities. These are volunteer opportunities. You cannot earn financially. Remember, the motivation is to gain experience, not to earn money through us. And you need to be able to commit 2 to 3 hours per day for 60 volunteer days over a 3 months volunteer agreement, which in my opinion anyone can do it. So let's say that you got a 9 to 5 job, come home and watch TV. Instead of watching TV for 3 months, you could commit time, right? So if you look at people in the audience, for example, we have individuals with 20 years experience volunteering because they are looking at gaining experience, something that they can't get in their normal job.
Sure. I love that. I really love that, especially since it is remote and a lot of people usually want to gain some skills and also technical tools when it comes to remote working. I feel like that is a very good opportunity. So we have all had. So kindly go to the website and register if you want to gain some experience, because I also get a lot of questions, people telling me, how can I get experience working remotely? So this is the perfect opportunity. So Mano, just a quick one. So what are the advantages for both the employer and the employee?
Yes, so if you look at so we don't use the terms employer and employee because this is the term we use is volunteering. It has certain legal constraints. Employment means that if you employ, then you are considered as a worker, and therefore that require financial compensation of some form or another. So the scheme we operate under is called volunteering. Um, so it can never be full time. It has to be sort of part time, short term, and that's what. So we have this framework that we get everyone to comply with. In terms of the, if you call about the tech companies who use our service, we don't allow our service to be used by large companies. It's only for those in that very early stage, because I think it's unfair to get large companies involved. Uh, so the whole idea is that, as I mentioned, these companies don't have enough money to pay for talent, and they subscribe to us. Once they subscribe to us, they can get 100 people if they want to join their team. So the advantage is, and we are, because of that, because we don't charge per individual, we charge to operate the system. um, because of that, we also create an opportunity where a company can now have many individuals. Instead of adding one or two, they can build whole teams, right? So if you think about building a marketing team, typically even a company with a lot of money wouldn't actually go to market and bring 20 people on board immediately. They can do that with us. So those are some of the
Yeah.
big advantages. And most of the companies we support, they don't have money, so they're really struggling, and we are sort of giving them a leg up. In terms of the individuals, people join us for many different reasons. One is that if they are young, they may want to get the first job, and when they go in front of a recruiter, they got nothing to show other than some education. I think what's also happening in the job market is that people tend to change jobs every 18 to 24 months now. So nobody get a job for life. um, and because of that, if you're a company, you want people joining your company who can actually start delivering value immediately. You don't want to train someone only for that person to leave your organization. So the job market has completely changed. This means that you need to have the right relevant experience and skills if you want to get that job. And that's where we come in. So because it's bite size, it's not full time. So you could choose what you want to do. Let's say that, for example, you want to be a content writer. So you could join us or one of our companies and just focus on doing a volunteer term as a content writer. So out of that, you build a portfolio. You can then go and show it to a recruiter saying, listen, I've done this. This is evidence. Give me a job.
Sure. Perfect. I love that. What about, say, for example, if there's someone in this session and they are an accountant, do you also provide such, like, do you require such skills or expertise?
Yes. So what we've done is we look, because I've operated in this market for 20 years building tech companies. I have a good understanding of what is need to build a tech company. So if you look at how tech companies are built, somebody come up with the idea, you need to validate that idea. That you got to build a product. Takes a long time. It's very costly to build a product. Then once you have a product, you have to go and find users and ask them to join your product, try it out, and then you got to convert them to customers. Once you have customers, you got to support them, and obviously customers means they are paying revenue, and you got to start doing your accounts. So accounts is another area that we can provide experience. So we ourselves don't actually have any accountancy opportunities, because I'm actually my own accountant. But nevertheless,
Yeah.
going forward, some of our companies do ask for accountancy support. so you could come and gain experience. So there are other financial related volunteer opportunities as well. Sometimes even companies are applying for example, grant applications. So they are looking for somebody to come with a financial background, help them. Sometimes they are looking for financial planners, because these tech companies, they want to put together a business plan. They got to create the profit and loss accounts, balance sheets, etc. So the accountants are needed for that, or just running
Awesome.
management account. So we have lawyers. We have, it has to be related to a tech company. So they are all remote. So you can't actually have people come into offices or anything like that. All has to be remote.
Perfect. I love that. Is it possible you mention the exact fields or industries?
Yes, so as long as it's tech, so there can be health tech, so it could be somebody building a health technology, or it could be software introduced to a hospital environment or a mobile app. It could be agriculture related, agri-tech. So we have a customer from Ghana who signed up recently called Grow for Me. um, and what they are doing is they have built a agri-tech fintech platform where they are looking for you and me and anyone to come and invest a small amount of money, which they then get given to issued as a loan to farmers. And when the farmers use that loan, basically go and do their whatever they grow. And when the harvest comes, and they sell the harvest, and they would pay back the loan plus interest, and that sort of get returned to the investors. So if you again, there's just two examples. So there are different type of technologies, but we only support as long as that business uses technology heavily, and the technology is a focus, is but it can operate in any industry. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, yes, it makes a lot of sense. And remember, if you have any question or clarification, we will have a Q&A session, so you can just be preparing your questions. Manoj, I'm curious to know, since you're working remotely, I assume you also like the culture, like people are different.
Yes.
Different countries comes with different cultures. So how do you effectively navigate the cultural difference?
Yes. So when we started in our first year, we worked with two ladies from Brazil. They spoke Portuguese, and I don't know a word of Portuguese. So we use Google Translate to understand each other,
Oh wow.
and it worked. So we are now trying to attract Chinese individuals to Skill Up Life, because when I look at our community, China was sitting somewhere around 36th largest, and China being the second largest, most populous country, that looks like it's a wrong fitting. So I thought I will take on a project personally, try to get more Chinese individuals to join. So I use a Chinese network called Xiahonshu, and I don't know a single word of Chinese, and I post using Google Translate, and when they reply, I translate back to English, and we can talk to each other. So I don't think language is a barrier anymore, and the especially with AI and more advanced technologies, it shouldn't be. Then in terms of the cultural norms, I mean, really in a work environment, it shouldn't really matter. We see, it's more around the commitment, professionalism, more about soft skills. Those are some of the areas that perhaps need more work. But the language itself is not a problem. The culture is not a bigger problem, because we are not asking anyone to commit full time, and it's very short time. 3 months goes very fast. We ourselves try not to get involved with individuals' personal life, because there simply has no time. So because of that, we are very professional in our approach. Um, and as I said, people come from 136 countries. If you take our team, we have people from all, most of the continents. So it's a very diverse. We don't check where they come from. As long as they're
Yeah.
committed, that's a good start.
Okay, what about time difference? Is there like challenges that you face, and um how do you ensure that everything is running smoothly regardless of the time difference?
Yeah, I don't think you could find everything to run smoothly at all, because of the nature of um, our teams. One of the big problems we have is getting people to attend meetings. Now, you could run successfully without meetings. Sometimes meetings could be too much. Provided, I mean, meetings are needed if you want to uh, talk about various aspects. But if you can communicate in text, you can still get away with it. So meeting attendance is an issue. Some of the other big issues are getting access to internet. Especially in some countries, bandwidth is a major issue. Networks. I live in the UK, so we rarely face anything like that, but it's not the same across the world. So those are some of the issues. Um, but you find ways to overcome these. Um, you know, if you find people who are really committed because they know clearly what they would get out from this, and if the company is willing to put time, then this works very well, and it works very well for ourselves. And
Yeah.
we have customers who love this because they are coming back and saying without Skilled Up Life they would have shut down the business long time ago.
Yeah. Okay. And you mentioned earlier that you currently do have volunteers at Skilled Up Life. So can you share with us a success story about that? Like, for example, if there's someone who came, volunteered to do some work for you, and then maybe an opportunity came up because of that experience that they gained while at Skilled Up Life.
Okay, so I think I'll try to find a big story. Um, so I talk about career transitioning. I don't know why, but some lawyers want to go into HR profession. So we had this
Mm-hmm.
lady um, from Nigeria who was practicing lawyer. She wanted to go into HR. So she joined us and she became our head of HR at the time. Then she completed the term. She was very strict, which was actually good. I don't think we ever had anyone as strict as her. And so she didn't mess with people who were not committed. She would just fire them. But the outcome was very good. It sounds cruel, but the outcome was good. So to operate with volunteers, you had to have very high discipline. Um, so so she left us. She got the experience, and it took her a while, and then she actually transitioned into HR, and she joined another company.
Do you mind telling us like the duration, the period?
I think there was, like, I don't know, more than 6 months it took her to transition. But when
Okay.
she did, I think it was also that she wasn't just going to accept any role. She actually
Yeah.
joined for a large company as HR director, managing multiple subsidiaries. So that was a big job to go into.
Yeah,
So
that is
so that
really
was
big.
a success story. We have, again, on our homepage you can see this as well. Um, After the first 13 months, we had Elise join us. We didn't know anything about HR at the time. I'm not from HR. She single-handedly set up our HR team, wrote all the procedures by looking at the internet. The reason she joined is that she had work experience, but every time she applied for a HR job, she got rejected. She never heard what the reason were. So she wanted to go into HR. So before she even completed her volunteer term with us, she got a job from with a US company. So we have many success stories as a result of, and some of our companies have also given jobs. We ourselves have given jobs. So the whole idea is that while there's no commitment of a job, we don't allow companies to make any commitment because we want people to join for the right motivation, which is to get experience, not looking for a job through us. But the
Yeah,
but our hope is that with the help of volunteers, the company will grow and they will create jobs. So we
sure,
so
definitely.
so the big thing that we are trying to do is that could we, through volunteering and helping companies at the same time, could we actually stimulate the economy? And this require doesn't require any money from governments, taxpayers, or anything, or we don't need any grant money. We could we just help companies to become create employment in the future? And if we can do that, then we are doing the world a good service, and it doesn't cost anything.
Yeah, it doesn't cost anything for real. And so, what are some best practices for fostering collaboration between professionals from different regions?
Yes. So on the company side, you could subscribe to our service and you could take 100 people. So we have, the company I mentioned, agritech company. They have a very ambitious plan. I don't know whether they're going to succeed. They want to basically um, build a team very quickly to convince 3,000 investors to sign up to their service. And that's a very ambitious plan in a short period of time. So um, I have my doubts now. They could be magicians and get this to work, but what we recommend is that volunteers are not the same as contractors. They are not the same as employees. They are not the same as freelancers. I'll explain what I mean. So if you
Okay.
hire a freelancer, you know that at the end they will be paid if they delivered what was promised. With volunteering, there's no money involved. So the motivation has to be there's a value to both parties, right? So you need to
Yeah.
welcome the volunteer into your team, make them feel part of your team. So you might have paid talent in the team already, so the volunteers don't earn, but you had to bring them in, treat them equally, right? And you can't just give them a piece of work and say, come back in a week or 2 weeks time, tell me how it, give me the result. It will not work. See, so we ourselves created a special culture called daily reporting culture. Now this apply to everybody, applies to me, apply to every volunteer, apply to every paid team member we have, right? And all of us every
Hmm.
day has to go and say, we have a special channel, we use Slack, and they have to go and say, I did this, just bullet points, doesn't have to go into details. Everybody can do it. And if they don't do it, we penalize them. So you have to have these different type of strict regimes in place to get value. Otherwise, sometimes volunteers, people might join, oh, I'm going to volunteer, I might get something. No, you're actually helping to build a company, and you have to be serious. And equally, the company has to be serious. These, volunteers are giving me time. I've got to make sure that I tell them what they need to do, how they're going to do it, and how they're going to report, how they're going to collaborate with the rest of the team. So you have to put something, systems in place. Without systems in place, without procedures, this is not going to work. So there's a learning curve to this. So
Yeah.
we have sometimes tech founders join up just to for subscribing for a month, expect miracles. It doesn't happen. There's no miracles. Still has to be hard work to make this work. But if a company can make this work for them, then there's no limit to what they can achieve, because unlike any other field, Remember, we have a lot of people with day jobs. They are not people in the job market. They're not on freelancer, or they're not on Upwork or anywhere like that, because they're not looking for jobs. They have a 9 to 5
Mm-hmm.
job, they are very well paid, and what we give them is something extra that they can't get from their job. So at the same time, we have juniors who have no experience at all, so we have a mixture of the two. and
Yeah,
and then if a company is very clever about it, now they can tap into this senior talent who can try to help them in a big way.
sure. And how do you keep them motivated?
So uh, so the more, as I said, this the money cannot be a motivator because money is not involved in this.
Sure.
So the
Yeah.
motivation, I think it's just being I'm struggling to come up with a really clever answer, but I don't have one. So the motivation is
Mm-hmm.
simply, you are already motivated to deliver, because you know that you get, by doing, you learn about how to do certain things. It might be you're doing this for the first time. You might be using a certain software tool that you never encounter in your current workplace, for example, and you
Mm-hmm.
are all the time learning by doing. So it doesn't
Sure.
have to be fun, and at the same time you're talking to people from all over the world that you may not never done it before. So you're getting this.
Yeah.
So the motivation has to be that there's nothing else there. There's no fun time, because you're committing only 3 hours, up to 3 hours a day, right? So
Sure.
for
Sure.
example, we have Margaret from China who's helping us to build the Chinese team, and South Asian team, Southeast Asian team, and she's committed. In her case, she said, I'm gonna volunteer for these 2 hours every day. That I
Mm-hmm.
can't do anything outside that, because she has kids, she has a full-time job, she needs to commute to the work, come back, and still run a family, and she still want to volunteer, because what she's getting is that she's getting experience in an English speaking organization, which she can't get from her normal workplace. I mean, she worked for Alibaba, right? So big
Yeah.
company. So we have individuals like that, so they know what they. I'm currently talking to a chap from India who wants
Mm-hmm.
to volunteer and become our country leader for India. The reason he's coming, not because he want to get a bit of experience, he want to build a profile for himself, and
Mm-hmm.
we can be a conduit to. We will help him achieve that. And so he can't just build a profile, because he has to deliver. If we deliver, then that goes against his profile, and then he can go out to whoever he wants to convince, and listen, I did this. So everything you do is actually real evidence. Sometimes the 3 hours you commit with us or with one of our companies might be more fulfilling than spending 8 hours a day getting paid. It's up to you. You got to make it work for yourself.
Sure. I 100% agree with you. So it should be like someone should have, number one, discipline and also internal motivation,
Yes,
right?
yes. Yeah. So if
I
you
love
don't have
that. I
motivation,
love that.
if you don't have discipline, if you're not committed, it's not going to work. So we have a high attrition rate. So I don't want to
Uh-huh.
paint a picture of all roses. It's not. So if you look at the paid job market, I don't know what the percentages are. Probably 30 to 40% going to drop out, because
Yeah.
they're not happy with the work environment, or these days, I'm sorry to say, some employees are a little bit spoiled. They want so much, so they don't find the right things they're asking for in that work environment, and they leave, right? So if you think about hours, uh, this is all volunteer, and within Skill Up Life, our attrition rate is 60%. What I mean is, this is my own company. We have a customer whose
Yeah.
attrition rate is much better than ours, right? So I haven't been as lucky as them. So that means if 100 people join us, only 40 will complete the term.
Yeah.
So it's,
And I think
yeah,
that is expected, uh, and in all organizations, really, not just startups.
yeah, it's a big
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, it is. It is. And so I'm now curious, since you have brought that up. So when someone decides to leave, is there a specific process they follow for offboarding, or do they just log out and never to be seen again or heard?
So the correct procedure is that they should communicate with us or with the company and say, I'm leaving for this reason. That's a nice thing. So the next one is, the next worst scenario is they
I
simply.
have lost you.
Sorry, can you not hear me? Hello,
I
hello.
have lost you,
Okay.
Manoj. I think
Can you hear
LinkedIn
me
has
now?
logged you out.
You can hear me now, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Now I
Okay.
can
Okay.
hear
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
So the next bad thing is that they simply disappear and you never hear from them. So that's called abandonment, or basically ghosting you. So
Uh huh.
you just have to decide. You try to reach out through multiple channels, no communication. You had to accept it. So when this happened first, to us, I was very emotional. So you can't get emotional about it, right?
Yeah.
Because the reason is that we have, okay, so you spend a little bit of time get them to up to speed, so you feel bad about it because there's a recruitment process. And the worst thing you want is somebody to ghost you, but people are people, you can't do anything about it. And so you just had to move to the next person, and we got 48,000. So you're not never
Yeah.
short of people.
And what's the proper way? So the proper way is by communicating
Yes,
to your team that
yes,
they are leaving because of XYZ.
yes, exactly. I mean,
All right.
during recruitment process, we recommend companies to have what I call a pre-qualification questionnaire. And one of the
Mm-hmm.
questions that we ourselves ask, and I hope the companies ask as well, is that what happens, for example, let's say it's an unemployed person, what happens if you got a paid job tomorrow? So,
Yeah.
strangely, everybody said, "Oh, no, no, we will not leave you, etc." But in reality, you know, 90% of the chance they leave. But having said that, so for example, our currently our sorry, who am I referring to? Um, our we have a person who's doing the second volunteer term with us. She started earlier as graphic designer. She became the team leader, and now she's actually in the product team. She got a job, but she's going to continue. She got a job while doing it, but she's going to continue and finish the term. So that's a professional approach. But people are people. People are people, right? So you can't. It's very hard to change.
Yeah. And after the 3 month period,
Yeah.
can someone still uh, do the volunteer again? Maybe in a different now field.
Yes, so you can mutually agree and extend that volunteer period to another one, or you could go to a
Uh-huh.
you could go to another team within the same company, or you can go and join another company. So the way that we are doing this is volunteering and gaining experiences and skill for whole of your adult life. But it doesn't have to be a continuous thing. So you could come for a 3 months and then disappear in few years time, come back again and gets a different type of experience, right?
Yeah.
And it could be that, let's say that you are in HR, but your current job doesn't let you practice recruitment aspect, because they have a different team for recruitment, and you ask for a, can I go to that team, and they say no, you stay where you are, that's what you were hired for. So in that case, they might come to us and say, okay, um, so they come to us to gain specifically recruitment experience. um, so they might go away and come back to gain a different type of experience later on. So you could fill those gaps you have even though you can't, so that's what I say. You can use us the way you want.
Yeah,
It's up to you. You
and
got to
acquire new
yes,
skills.
you got to know what you want.
Sure. I love that. I love that. So now we are going to take a Q&A. I can see we have one hand up. And also, if you have any question, kindly just raise your hand so that I can allow you to speak. We are going to end the session at exactly 9 p.m. East African time. Hi. Oh my God. I'm not so sure if I can pronounce your name.
So,
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. I am Brigadier Sushil Bhasin. Brigadier is my rank. The army rank, other countries call it Brigadier General. In India, we just say Brigadier. And Sushil Bhasin is my name. So I am from India, and I don't have really a question, but I just wanted to add something. Firstly, thank you very much for a very nice, interesting conversation. Thank you, Manoj, for giving me a lot of ideas on something I knew nothing about. Grace, I am totally, totally impressed by you. I have very seldom come across a lady from Africa who speaks so clear. Not even one word of yours got missed out. You were so clear, and you have a very pleasing way of speaking. Thank you very much for that. There was a talk where
Thank you.
I just wanted to comment on something and add on to when you asked Manoj about what is the motivation they have. And I'm a motivational speaker, and I say really I'm not a motivational speaker, I'm an inspirational speaker. So, just to give you a little background, I have served the Indian Army for 34 years, and last 20 years I have been transferring military leadership lessons into the corporate world. I've also done a lot of work for schools, colleges, bringing about transformation in children. And to do that, I've also done teachers training and parents to be able to grow my influence on children. I'm coming to that why do we need to be motivated? If you know the purpose of your life, and I've got a TEDx talk on the purpose of your life. If you know the purpose of your life, you know why you're on this planet, then why do you need to be motivated externally by somebody? And what you said about internal motivation is exactly what inspiration is. So when you depend on motivation, you depend on an external source to drive you, whereas when you have an inbuilt desire, then you are inspired. And inspiration runs much longer than motivation does. So I encourage my students, I encourage people to dive deep into themselves and sees what inspires them and how they want to do things in life without looking for an external reward. And there's a beautiful story which I will now soon do a video because it's available in writing somewhere. But we were in Staff College in Wellington where there was a postman who for 20 years did a great job, and after 20 years somebody realized that look at this chap, without any incentive, without any motivation, he keeps doing his work properly. So they thought of to reward him, and when they gave him a reward, he didn't accept it. And he said, I never did anything to earn money, nor did I want this from you. So thank you very much. He just folded his hands and said, the very fact that you called me here and acknowledged my work, that is more than enough for me. So and his name was Ranga. So the question we used to always say, why can't we be like Ranga? Why can't we be self-motivated? Why can't we have intrinsic motivation to live our lives? And why do we have to be selfish? That I will work if you give me something. So I have in my army career never required motivation from outside. I never looked for an award or a promotion. I carried on working because it was giving me the type of thrill I wanted, and my thrill cannot be given to me by somebody else. So I just thought I'll add that part. And when you talked about discipline and you talked about internal motivation, I just wanted to add I, of course, lived in the world of discipline right from the time I was in class 10 when I went to a military school and I did my schooling and then NDA, IMA, everything in the army. So discipline was a part of my life. But when we talk of discipline, do we understand the importance of self discipline? Discipline is when you put on the seat belt because you see a cop there, that is that is discipline, which is enforced. But self discipline is when I put on that seat belt, when I start my car, irrespective of whether a policeman is there or not. So I would like people to more worry about self discipline, and the simple definition is doing what you ought to do, even when you don't feel like doing it, when nobody's watching you. Sorry for taking some extra
Wow.
time. I thought I'll add this to you.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for that. I really, really love that. And I'm going to take that with me as well.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you
very
so
much.
much
Thank
for
you.
that. Okay, Gerald, you can kindly unmute and ask your question.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks so much, Grace, and the speaker. I really appreciate for everything. Hi. My question is actually not even a question. I would like to talk about the freelancing part of it. I understand that most companies do hire freelancers, but they do not pay them, and others they do pay them. So I want Grace, maybe or the speaker, to advise what would be the best way to retain the freelancing besides the money. I understand the money is not the motivation part of it, but how could one retain the freelancing besides the money? What's the best way that we can use all the trick to retain the freelancing part of it? I will appreciate. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. Manoj can answer that.
So we are not in the freelancing market, so I can't comment on that. We provide volunteering opportunities, completely different.
All right. So Gerald, just to get you clear, were you asking that based on Skilled Up Live, or it was just a general question?
Yeah, it's actually a general question.
Okay, kindly repeat so that I process it.
Okay, I was asking, I assume like, okay, let me say I have a company and I have got a freelancing employee that I'm working with, or people that are supporting me in my company. But now I'm looking at ways of retaining them, or ways of motivating them so that they can stay. I'm finding for the best way that I can, or the method, or the trick I can use to retain such people, or the way I can motivate them for them to stay without the money.
Yeah. All right. So I think it's basically relationships. To be honest, for me, I would say relationship is very key. Like how you treat someone and how they feel when they work for you will really tell if they're going to stay there for long or if they're going to leave very soon. So for me, it's all about relationship. So just make sure that the relationship that you have between you and the other freelancers is very strong. And yeah, it's basically very strong, and that it's open. They can tell you anything without you being emotional or anything like that. So yeah, relationship. I would advise
Okay,
that.
okay. All right, thank you. Thank you so much, please.
Okay, I'm going to take one last question.
Yeah, I was just going to respond to Gerald's question. So you raised
Awesome.
good points, and that point is all around relationships. But trying to find out more about the individual that you're working with or the individuals that you're working with, because similar to what Manoj said earlier, relationships don't always work out, right? You could have the best skilled freelancer, and they might be the most reliable and communicative at the beginning. But what you really want to do is set yourself up for success. So you want to tell them what your expectations are for how they communicate, how frequently, how much detail. Um, but also, you want to really find out what motivates them, right? So, similar to what Manoj was saying around having parents who've got caring responsibilities. For some people, having flexible work is super important. But from an employer's perspective, that means you can't always rely on them as fully as possible. But for them, that flexibility can be really important. So I think sometimes it's about really understanding what do your people want, what do you need, and then finding that perfect way. So building upon the relationships and keeping everyone happy, maybe having weekly or every 2 week one-to-one meetings scheduled. That can really help, because I think sometimes some individuals you would say, hey, if you've got any problems, let me know. But some people will remain silent no matter how much effort you put into the relationship. So sometimes an informal meeting can help with that. And where possible, meeting your team members in person for a coffee, for lunch, these things also help.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for that addition, Kosa. I really do appreciate you for that. So, Manoj, any parting shots as we wind up?
No, I mean, just to say thank you for having me. Obviously a really interesting conversation, and yeah, thank you.
All right. So, thank you so much, all of you, for listening to us this day. If you joined later, my name is Grace Akot, and I empower individuals and job seekers to articulate their skills, accomplishments, and unique value proposition. And I do that by actively collaborating with them to create tailored resume that captures their professional essence. So if you need any type of assistance, kindly reach out to me. Follow me on LinkedIn. You can connect. I usually post very informative posts, so make sure you connect with me. You will learn a lot. You can also connect with Manoj and Skilled Up Life. I'm sure you are going to learn a lot. So for now, I'm going to say good night, good evening, good morning, depending from where you're listening.